The great virtue of wisdom of Nagarjuna. Mahaprajnaparamita Sastra. Etienne Lamotte. Composed by the Bodhisattva Nagarjuna and translated by the Tripitaka Dharma Karaya Kumarajiva of the land of Kucha. Translated from the French by Gulongma Karma Migmi Chodron. Chapter 3. General explanation of Evam Maya Sruta. Now let us explain the expression Evam Maya Srutam Akasman Samaye as a whole. Thus have I heard at one time. Question. The Buddhas are omniscient, independent and without a teacher. They do not follow the teaching of others. They do not adopt the doctrines of others. They do not use borrowed systems. They preach the buddhadharma without having heard it from another. How can they say, "Thus have I heard"? B. Answer. As you have said, the Buddha is omniscient, independent, without a teacher. He preaches the Dharma without having heard it from another. But the Buddhist doctrine is not the only utterance that has come from the mouth of the Buddha, it is also all the truths and all the good words propagated in the world. Skillful words, well-spoken, come forth everywhere in the Buddhadharma. Thus the Buddha said in the Vinaya. What is the Buddhadharma? The Buddhadharma is that which has been spoken by 5 kinds of people. 1. That which the Buddha himself has spoken. 2. That which the disciples of the Buddha have spoken. 3. That which the sages have said. 4. That which has been said by the gods. 5. That which apparitional beings have spoken. Furthermore, in the Cheti I to Tao King the Buddha said to Kiao Che Kia. The truth's good words, words that are skillful and well spoken, spread throughout the world, all constitute my doctrine. Finally, it is said in the San Fa Ki. The good words in the world are all derived from the Buddhadharma. These good words are faultless and are no different from the words of the Buddha. Although they are found elsewhere, these are good words, faultless. They are all fragments of the Buddhadharma. Even among heretics, there can be good words. Thus the insect that gnaws wood soon takes on the name of the wood that it eats. The doctrine of beginning, middle and end. The destruction of specific and general characteristics is like the iron that comes out of the gang. Who would think that a forest of veranda could contain the Goshesha sandalwood? Who would believe that a bad seed could contain the wondrous honey fruit? Then we would believe that the works of heretics themselves contain good words. Good and true words all come from the Buddha. Like the perfume of the sandalwood comes from Mo Li Chan. Withhold Mo Li Chan, and there would be no more sandalwood. Similarly, withhold the Buddha, and there would be no further good words. 2. Furthermore, the phrase Evam Maya Srutam is an expression used by the disciples of the Buddha such as Ananda, etc. Since it partakes of the marks of the Buddhadharma, it is called Buddhadharma. Thus the Buddha, at the time of his parinirvana, was at Ki between 2 low trees. Lying with his head to the north, the Buddha was about to enter into nirvana. At that time, Ananda, still under the influence of the afflictions, had not yet dispelled or eliminated passion. His heart was plunged into a sea of sadness from which he was unable to come out. Then the Southavira Anilu Teou said to Ananda, "You keeper of the basket of the Buddhist texts, you ought not to founder in a sea of sadness like an ordinary person. All conditioned dharmas are transitory in nature. You should not be sad. Moreover, the Buddha has entrusted the doctrine to you and now, in your despair, you forget the task which he entrusted to you. Therefore ask the Buddha the following questions. After the Buddha's parinirvana, what path shall we follow? Who will be our teacher, our critic and our guide? What will be our refuge? What words will we place at the beginning of our Buddhist texts? You should ask the Buddha about these things to come." When Ananda heard this advice, his sadness decreased a little and he found the strength to think about the path. He helped the Buddha to lie at the edge of the bed and asked him these questions. The Buddha said to Ananda, "Henceforth after my departure, you yourself will be your own refuge, the Dharma will be your refuge, and you will have no other refuge. How, O Bhikksu, will you be your own refuge, how will the Dharma be your refuge, and how will you have no other refuge?" The bhikksu considers his own body, he always dedicates to it his full attention, his wisdom, his zeal, his energy, and he rejects the worldly desires and resulting dissatisfactions. In the same way, he considers the body of another, then his own body and that of another at the same time. The same for the smrtyupasthanas of feeling, mind, and dharmas. Then it can be said that this bhikksu is himself his own refuge, goes to the Dharma for refuge and has no other refuge. Henceforth the Kito Ki king will be your great teacher. You should carry out bodily activities and vocal actions according to the instructions of the Pratimoksha Sutra. After my nirvana, your guide, O bhikksu, will be the punishment according to the rule of Brahma. If someone is in a state of mind of panic, he should be taught the Chanti Okia Tcg and Yen King, then he will be able to obtain the path. As for the precious basket of the Dharma compiled during 3 incalculable periods, it must begin with the following phrase. Thus have I heard at one time, the Buddha was dwelling in such and such a place, in such and such a country, in such and such a grove. Why this beginning? Sutras all began with this formula among the Buddhas of the past. Sutras all will begin with this formula among the Buddhas of the future. Finally, the Buddhas of the present, at the moment of their parinirvana, also teach this formula. Henceforth, after my parinirvana, sutras must also begin with this formula. Evam maya srutam skasman samaye. By that, we know that the content of the sutra was taught by the Buddha, but it is not the Buddha who says. Evam maya srutam. The Buddha, who is omniscient, independent and without a teacher, cannot say, "Thus have I heard." If the Buddha said, "Thus have I heard," the objection could be made that the Buddha did not know the thing before having heard it. At the request of Ananda, the Buddha has taught this formula, a formula to be pronounced by his disciples. Therefore this expression evam maya srutam is irreproachable.